Leading rap musicians have banded together to use their talents in the fight against crime, crack, and violence in the black community. Vic Miles of WCBS TV in New York has the story.
We all agree tonight, all of the speakers have agreed that America has a very serious problem.
A serious problem has now become a crisis. Some kids are trying to do something about it.
Self-destruction, get it for self-destruction. Self-destruction, get it for self-destruction.
If you're not a fan of rap, it's all too easy not to listen to what is being said.
Well, today's topic, self-destruction. It really ain't the rap audience that's bugging. It's one or two suckers, ignorant brothers, trying to rob and steal from one another. You get caught in the mid. So to crush that stereotype, here's what we did. We got ourselves together so that you could unite and fight for what's right. Not negative cause. The way we live is positive. We don't kill our relatives.
Self-destruction, the record and the video, has become a rallying cry for a group of musicians who want an end to black-on-black violence.
Kids are now turned on by if you can say something in your rhyme relevant to what they have to deal with every day. That's what becomes the new hit record.
Chris Parker, 23, much better known as KRS-One. All of his varied background now a part of his message in music.
I was homeless for, say, 10 years. Living strictly on the streets from age 13 to 15. From 15 to 16, shelters, and from 16 to 18, group homes.
Cause that
Self-destruction, get it for self-destruction.
The beat is always there. I mean, you go in with the conception of partying, but you come out with the conception of learning.
Another effort to reach you, this time with a truly different beat from a hip-hop drummer.
Get it for self-destruction.
Vic Miles, New York, for CBS News.
These people are the self-destruction, stop the violence movement, and you're about to watch the self-destruction video.
Peace.
Peace.
Hollywood, look out.
We all agree tonight, all of the speakers have agreed that America has a very serious problem. Not only does our people have a very serious problem. America's problem is
Stop the Violence was a freestyle because every time we went to do a show, somebody would start acting stupid. So we'd have something to say even as that was going on because the music never stopped. So I wrote it as a freestyle, but then we never really did it because, you know, it just never came around. We never had the opportunity to set it up right and do it. So I met these kids that made this beat. The beat goes bo 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 bo. Well, the original musicians, I met them. They had a crew called Jam Rock Massive. Jam Rock Massive put out Stop the Violence, the first record, as a bootleg because we did it together. And I said, if in fact I sell the record somewhere, I'll give you some credit on it and some points. We'll work out a deal. They did the music. I wrote the song and then mixed it. By that time, I had signed the job, and I said, well, yo, that's still my record. Yo, what's up? They said, well, we want X amount of dollars and so on for the record. So I said, of course, we had nothing signed. I just said, all right, I'll just drop it and leave it at that. You do what you want with that, and I'm going to do what I want with this. So I went and started my Stop the Violence beat, which is do-do-dum-dum, do-do-do-dum-dum, do-do-do-do-do-dum. I went and put that out on the By All Means Necessary LP. What happened is that record became, of course, larger than the bootleg. And it became like a little anthem within hip-hop music. Stop the violence in hip-hop, YO, okay. What happened is, jumped on the Dope Jam tour, rocking the Dope Jam tour. The last show of the Dope Jam tour was at Nassau Coliseum. Nassau Coliseum was like the most packed show out ever. It was like, you know, the show of shows for that session of time. But what happened was that the security, due to some other stuff, the security had quit on the tour. And when they quit, we had no security at Nassau Coliseum. You have Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, Bronx, Staten Island, Long Island, Jersey in the house. They started bugging. What happened was this kid got killed over a gold chain there. Out of all the many things that went on that night, that seemed to be the zenith of the ignorance. He died because of his gold chain, stabbed in the heart, I think it was.
We were watching the concert, Boogie Down Production was performing, and the next thing I know, it just, a whole bunch of people just crowded into the corridor, but nothing had happened yet. So, you know, they had, one guy had saw me with my gold on, so he reached for my bracelet, one of my bracelets, because my hand was on the railing, and he grabbed for one of my bracelets. So when I turned, I grabbed him. And once I grabbed him, a whole crowd rushed behind me. When I turned around to see the crowd, there were just bodies flying at me. So I just ducked down. When I was ducked down, they just piled on top of me. And I didn't realize I was stabbed until until everything had, you know, it was all over. But by this time, my bracelet was gone, 3 chains were gone, my gold watch was gone, and a friend of mine had got hit, and because he was trying to help me out. The next thing I know, a friend of mine tells me all of this blood is on my pants, and I turn around and I lift my shirt up, and blood just starts gushing out. So I go to the first aid office. When I go into the first aid office, it's crowded, you know, full of people that have been stabbed and cut, and you know, it's like, so it had to be like a little SWAT team going around, you know, cutting people up, stabbing them up. You know, that's crazy.
When I heard about the murder at the Nassau Coliseum, I was really shocked, and I knew what had happened because I had been at a previous show there about a couple of weeks before, which had been a PE show, and Run DMC had been on that show, which had been, I think it had been about a month before the Dope Jam show. And I saw the security guards watching violence and not doing anything. I saw the fact that the security guards disappeared at certain times in the show. So I saw the fact basically it was a very, inside the arena, the criminal element had control. Once you got outside, you saw mounted police on horses, etc., who were basically swinging at anything that was in the crowd, not at the criminal element, but at just kids in general. So I saw the fact that basically the manpower at the arena, in my opinion, had either been unwilling or afraid, for some reason, to really provide real security for the paying patrons, the people who would come to see the show. So when I heard about the murder, which occurred about a month or so later at the Dope Jam show, I knew what had happened. I mean, there was no question in my mind what it went down. And I knew also how it would be played. It was not going to be played as an incident of inadequate security, which is what it was. And it was at many of these rap shows. It's an incident of they were going to say it was an incident of black-on-black violence, of rap violence, and that's the phrase that was utilized.
You go to Bruce Springsteen concert, and you don't see any white boys killing each other, but you know, in a rap concert where the audience is predominantly black, it's all of this black-on-black crime, and it's like, you know, it's like a sickness that I think nobody's really paying attention to how deep, you know, the ramifications of that is. So it was really, really frustrating. You know, matter of fact, while I was on stage, I think that was the worst performance I had on the whole tour because I was like tense, I wasn't loose, and it's almost to the point like I wanted to get on stage and preach.
That they would kill somebody else's black over something like gold, you know, that they gonna sell probably to get some drugs or to get some money that they gonna use up in the next week, and then they gonna go out and do it again. You know, it's just like a cycle. You know, it makes no sense, not to me.
It's time for people in the rap music industry to begin to address not only their image problem, but the real issues that are causing the problem for the community. And so we decided to start the Stop the Violence movement.
We we as adult black Americans have a large problem because we are not role models in our homes. We are not heroes, and we need to become heroes.
The artist response was incredible. I was not at all, I didn't want to approach any mainstream R&B people because I knew what it would be. It would be, I got to talk to my manager, my booking agent, my record company's right from the image. The people in rap knew what it was about immediately. And the response was incredible. We had to keep people off the record in order to try and get it done. That was that kind of response. And that's why we're able to do a video like we're able to do this music video, because they got up early in the morning, which rappers are not known for. Was there to do the job and to make the statement they wanted to make.
I know we're in Harlem. Where? Harlem. This is Harlem? Yeah, this is Harlem. What do you think this is?
I figured at it's time that we spoke up about this, you know, from the artist's point of view.
And we just feel that one of the primary duties of a rapper in this day and age is to become a positive role model in the minds and in the hearts of the children, because a lot of these kids don't have positive role models to look up to. In most neighborhoods, drug deal is a role model. So, you know, if we could continue to do projects like this, then we show them something to look forward to.
We're totally against black-on-black crime, you know. I mean, it's so ridiculous in this day and time that our own brothers and sisters has got to pick up arms against one another. You know, we're killing ourselves off, man. And this is a definite message to all the young people.
We strongly believe that, you know, violence is nonsense, and you've got to get together as one. And if you look around, you see a whole lot of different type of rappers here getting together to prove that everybody can get together.
It's the first time this has really happened, because, you know, a lot of these brothers won't even speak to each other. You know what I'm saying? So the beauty of this is that regardless if we disagree on 99 things, we agree on one, that we need to come together.
We want to let the youth know that there are alternatives to crime in your community. There are alternatives to having disrespect for your brother and your sister. African Americans must come to the realization that if we do not help ourselves in this regard, we will be the greatest. We will bear the brunt of crime as it affects us.
I would have to say that there were several times during the recording of the record and the shooting of the video that I just didn't think it was going to happen.
The camera's going to be on a crane coming along this way, catching y'all as each of you do the lyrics. So you got to sit in the order that you kick the lyrics on the song, right? And then when it goes all the way to the end, to the last person, it's going to come up to show the crowd in the background. Okay, so it's important that you guys are sitting down in the right order. That's what I'm trying to get right now.
Sitting?
Yeah, seated here. That's how it's going to start. That's one of the master shots. All right?
What's that up for the shot? We need you now.
Melody's right over here.
We need you over here. And Doug?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
Glenn, we need you.
Melody.
What's up?
This is going out to all the youth. You know what I'm saying? Which is, you know, a lot of people that look up to us. Because we are role models. You know what I'm saying? So we got to do the right thing in front of them at all times. We got to say the right things in front of them at all times. And we got to try to teach them to strive for perfection, because that is the right direction. And if anything is wrong, then we will make a correction. And how we do that? Because we have the detection. You know what I'm saying? And that's what time it is, so we'll add it to the collection.
Slide down, guys.
To where?
Slide down, we got to separate.
Flay, you over here. You over here, Flay.
The idea of the video shoot itself just seemed to be so massive, because we were going from place to place and we had so many artists, and all the artists had their entourages with them, and I just don't know how they kept it together. I don't know how the people of Classic Concepts kept us all together, because between Nelson and I, we were like, you know, nervous wrecks.
We need a lane free. We need a nice space in there.
It really ain't the rap audience that's bugging. It's one or two suckers, ignorant brothers, trying to rob and steal from one another. You get caught in the mid. So to crush that stereotype, here's what we did. We got ourselves together so that you could unite and fight for what's right. Not negative cause. The way we live is positive. We don't kill our relatives.
Pop, 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 when it's shot, who's to blame? Headline, front page, and raps the name. MC Delight here to state the bottom line. The black on black crime was way before our time.
Took a brother's life with a knife as his wife cried, cause he died.
run from a black man, cause that's
self-destruction. You're headed for self-destruction. Self-destruction. You're headed for self-destruction. Self-destruction. You're headed for self-destruction.
I would say Miss Melody, D-Nice, and probably some of the Stetsasonic brothers were the ones, Wise and Fuquan were the ones who the most debate was about. Because certain elements of people who wanted to be involved in the record felt that they weren't large enough. Miss Melody's record hadn't come out yet. And D-Nice had been working with Chris, but it wasn't acknowledged on his own yet. And I remember Miss Melody just being very pleasant and dealing with it very well. D-Nice had a lot more problems because he had a lot more conflicts. There was actually some conflicts that went on in the making of the record, and D-Nice was at the center of one of the conflicts. In fact, to this day, he has a rivalry of some kind with one of the other rappers involved in the project, which is interesting.
What's up? My name is Derek, but they call me D-Nice, and I am the producer of Self-Destruction. That came about because Chris, which y'all know as KRS-One, he really didn't have time to do the music, so he basically asked me to come up with a beat for it. And I came up with the beat that y'all hear. We submitted tapes to everyone to see how they liked it. A lot of people said it was okay, and they thought it could be better. And they really criticized me a lot for it, but I really thank them because without their criticism, I really wouldn't have went back in the studio and did the best job that I thought I can do. It would have been just that.
This is all about no doubt to stop violence. But first, let's have a moment of silence.
Dougie, again, someone everyone wanted to have on there, but it was hard getting a hold of him all the time. And when he came in, I never forget he came in tonight, he listened to the track after some other people had laid down their raps, and he wasn't totally with it. And Hank Shocklee, who was associate producer, was there that night. And Hank actually and he sat in the studio and did some things. They really did some things with the track, because they had been working on Dougie's album. And Dougie, his section, the whole, he actually gave us a bridge. I mean, the record needed a bridge, and his section is actually the bridge to the record, because it has a kind of change of pace and his own instrumental stuff. Quite brilliant. I mean, Doug really came in. He had a feeling it needed to be more danceable, and he made sure that it worked. I mean, I think that his section, again, is one of the highlights. And that whole idea of using his voice and all that stuff in A Moment of Silence, that's all his, and it's all Dougie, and it's again, I think, again, some of his best work, actually.
It doesn't make you a big man, and to one ain't going dish your brother, man, and you don't know that's part of the plan. Music is a field, the man
I mixed the record. It took me 2 days to mix it. I stayed in the studio for like about 36 hours, straight, just to make sure that everybody on the record could have their own spotlight, even though they were already established artists. But I wanted to make it seem more than just everyone's rapping on this one record, so I'd switch the beat under, like if Public Enemy was rapping, I'd put Funky Drummer, since they're known for using Funky Drummer and rocking it in various ways, I'd put Funky Drummer under it. And when Stet was rhyming, I put what was Talking All That Jazz under while Stet was rhyming. And same thing goes with Light and Heavy D.
Here's the situation. Idiocy, nonsense, violence. Not a good policy, therefore we must ignore fighting, fussing. Heaven's at the door, so there'll be no bum rushing. Let's get together because we're falling apart. I heard a brother shot another, it broke my heart. I don't understand the difficulty, people. Love your brother, treat him as an equal. They call us animals, I don't agree with them. I'll prove it wrong, but right is what you're proving them. Take heed before I leave to what I'm saying, or we'll all be on our knees praying.
I remember being at a concert in Madison Square Garden. Heavy, how do I get on this record? Who do I have to talk to get on this record? I want to be on the record. He was like that about it. And when he came into the studio, his rap was already written. He he and Kool Moe Dee were probably the two most professional and on point. And when I say they came in, they had their stuff ready, they did it, boom, they were in and out, just real sharp. The Stop the Violence record is really, I think will go down in history if you look at it, is a record which represents the New York mentality of rap and also the New York mentality of street life culture. I mean, the record really reflects the fact that people in New York went through their gangster stage. I mean, we don't have the gangs in New York in the late 80s, early 90s that they have in other parts of the country. For some reason, the chemistry here has not brought that about. And so we have a lot more consciousness, the whole Malcolm X movement, Afrocentricity, all of these positive things, understanding or appreciation of Islam as part of the continuity of religion, and that Christianity is not the only religion. All these different themes that are going through black culture, you can see that are reflected in self-destruction. And I think that's one of the things that's going to be good about it in the long run, that it's a document of a certain mentality that was going on.